Jay Hibb, Stretford, Paddock, that's Joe Smith. This is Paddock Live, and we've got an absolute smorgasbord of topics to get through.
Smorgasbord.
We're going to be talking about some transfer rumour shizzle, you know the usual drill. Are we going to get a striker? Maybe we're going to get him on loan, maybe not. Who cares? Also, David De Gea's new contracts. No, but you know what, Joe, right? We've got David De Gea's new contract. We've also got Adam McCullough with Bet Victor and Last Man Standing. We're getting into all that. I want some about this, though, mate. I want to get my teeth into this.
You're really excited, aren't you?
I'm excited, right? Because let's not get too carried away, right? But over the New Year period, United kept winning. Yeah? City drew at home to Everton. Pathetic. Yeah? And I say that knowing that we've got Everton on Friday and I could be eating my words, right? Klopp lost at Brentford. We've all done it, but then he goes blaming everyone except himself.
Yeah, he's not
Do you know
good
what
at
I mean?
that, is he? He's not good at taking responsibility.
Our manager was running 13k the next day after we lost to Brentford, taking responsibility, rallying the troops. My man here blaming the ref because, you know, it's his fault that his team is shit.
Yeah.
Arteta skipping down the touchline.
Lost it.
Lost the plot.
You cannot lose it that hard after 15 games, 16 games.
17 games in, and he's acting like Rafa Benitez with his piece of paper.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Mate,
Head's gone.
You've got 21 more games after this.
Like,
if you're losing it this hard in the first half of the season, it doesn't, to me, bode well for the sort of mental state of the team going forward.
You've got an Arsenal side that's relatively young. There's got a few, you know, hot-headed type of players in there. You need someone who's a manager who's going to sort of, you know, sort of show calmness on the touchline. Radiate, that's the word I was looking for. Radiate calmness on the touchline.
Yes.
Not running up and down like he's sort of swatting a fly away.
And the thing is, that we were saying to you before is, this wasn't 3-0 down against Norwich.
No.
This wasn't, 3-0 down against Newcastle. This was drawing to Newcastle, who are, at that time, third in the league or second in the league, like, close to the top. Drawing against a team that is near you is not the worst result in the world. No. And he's acting like this is the last minute, last day of the season, and they're losing 2-1 to Norwich. Like, that is not the reaction of someone that is sort of keeping their head and instilling this kind of notion of calm and composure throughout the squad. He looks like he thinks we're going to win the league here, and if we don't win every game, we're going to lose out. So, I don't know. I think Arteta's actions on the touchline the other night, obviously dropping 2 points wasn't helpful either, but you look at him and the way he was just freaking out, it doesn't really bode well when you think about you're going to have to come up against Pep Guardiola, whose team is so used to winning. You're going to have to come up against United, Ten Hag, who is used to winning cup after cup after cup in Ajax. Obviously, it's a different ball game now at United, but he's used to winning trophies. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you've got to keep your team level-headed when you're going mad. It's not easy to do that, and it doesn't look to me that was a bad sign the other night.
It's a pressurised situation. You want the manager to absorb that. You want him to show you that, do you know what, there's nothing to worry about. And I love this from Witterbird in the comments, says these managers are throwing more strops than a beauty pageant mother. And it's like, you look over the touchline and there's that going on. Pep's always had a touch of that, hasn't he? He's always had a touch of that, but he's been able to sort of mix up the craziness with enough calmness to make a positive manager. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He's like a sort of budget, an Aldi version of Fergie. Yeah. Fergie knew when to lose it and when to stay calm. Yeah. And was quite good at the man game sort of thing, and famously made Rafa Benitez and Kevin Keegan have a meltdown. And Arsene Wenger as well lost the plot on Fergie's watch. Klopp has always been sort of the archetypal just lunatic, but it's worked to a certain degree. Do you know what I mean? But now you just feel like there's a little bit, especially with the results Liverpool had this season, like they're unravelling a bit. Because they're a team that, even when they haven't won leagues, have got like 98 points. Yeah. Have got to Champions League finals, and they still may well do that this season. Yeah. They still not 98 points, but they still may well do well in the Champions League. But it looks like this is a team that's all over the gaff. Yeah. And it looks like you've got a manager who, when you're winning matches and when you're just behind City and you're saying things like, the grass was a bit long, or it's a bit windy, or, the referees weren't great, people go, all right, fair enough. When you're just, what are they, 6 or whatever, and you've already lost 4 games or 5 games this season, and you're struggling a bit, and your £100 million signing isn't working out. No. The best defender ever trademarked isn't that great, and he's injured.
And he's injured for a decent chunk of time, apparently, with his hamstring injury.
I remember what happened last time they lost him for a decent amount of time. Yeah. The wheels came off.
The wheels came off, and then he came back and hasn't really been the same player since, if we're honest.
It's just like all of them. Yeah. You're looking at them going, what's going down? And just juxtapose that with Erik ten Hag, who, yes, we know it's only 17 games in, and you know, if we get a poor result against Everton, then we'll be not questioning him, but we'll be going, you know, how far have United got to go? But so far, especially over this last sort of few weeks post World Cup, he couldn't have been doing anything more right.
And the thing as well is, going into the season, no one expected Arsenal to be where they are now. So you have to give them some credit for that. They've obviously massively overachieved to do what they've done. What is it? 14 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss. That's phenomenal. No one, you know, they've done so much better than we thought they would. You can see the points tally there. 44 points after 17 games is outstanding. But Liverpool and City especially, were expected to win the league this season. Because of what they've done over recent seasons, because of what Liverpool's done recent seasons, you'd expect both of them to be battling it out against an Arsenal side that had barely, you know, I say barely scraped fourth. By the end, it was relatively comfortable, but it took them into May to have any sort of certainty on that top 4 spot. When United were literally imploding with Ralph Rangnick, we still had a chance at top 4 until about the start of May. And then they're at the top. But like the fact that this is like Newcastle is above Liverpool, that should not be happening.
The only one that really, if I'm being brutally honest, sort of the two that stand out for me are Arsenal where they are and Liverpool where they are. I think if you remember, City win their game in hand, that's 39. They've still got to play Arsenal twice. Because that one game got postponed in it, and they've still got one due to play. So it's 2, obviously. So whilst that is surprising, it's not like, you know, the wheels have massively come off at the Etihad. I still think it's slightly underperforming considering they bought Erling Haaland. But this is just, it's terrible. Do you know what I mean? It is. Like you say, the team that they've been bigged up to be, the fact that a lot of these players, Van Dijk, Salah, this is almost their swan song. This is their last season where you go, they'll still be at the top of their game because it's downhill now. And you argue that even Van Dijk's already on his way down.
And going into the last game of the season last year, Liverpool were still on for the quadruple.
Mate, half an hour to go before the final whistle of the final game, they were winning the league. Do you know what I mean? Until City turned it around at Aston Villa. It was you know, they were joining us in the 20 club.
This is a team that almost won the league last season, got to the Champions League final, got to the FA Cup final, won the League Cup. They did win the League Cup, didn't they? They beat Chelsea.
Do you not remember?
Won the domestic double.
Was it Naby Keita who stamps on your man's testicles?
So
and didn't
last
get a
season,
red card?
they were 2 games, or even a City draw and 1 game away from the greatest season any English club has ever had, and now they're struggling to win pretty much every week at the moment. Like, it is mad. And also, again, the expectation for United, we're not standing here going, we're going to win the league, but the expectation for me wasn't that if we beat City in a week's time, we will be 1 point behind them halfway through the season. I thought, if you said to me almost the halfway point, 18 games, obviously 19 is exactly halfway, but you know, halfway through the season, if you beat Man City, you'll be a point behind them. I would be stunned at that. Where we were last season, those last few games of the season, where honestly, and I'm not just saying this, I think we would have lost to any team down to League 2 level that was like used to winning. And like a League 2 promotion team would have beaten Man United at the end of last season. Anyone that had any sort of competent structure and effort would have beaten us. And now we're at this point where, like I said, 1 win away from being a point behind City. That is a remarkable difference, isn't it? And I don't know, I just think, we were talking about City before, weren't we? I think we'll talk maybe about him in a few minutes as well with the Victor stuff, but I think Haaland has been unbelievable, but there's no doubting that City have been worse this season than last season.
I think watching him, and I'll get into some of the comments before I talk about Andy Tate's in the chat. He's on the Jack Daniels and Cope, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got to say. Santa Notch says about Jurgen Klopp, it's the Jurgen 7th season syndrome, or it's his 7th season. It's the Jurgen 7th Jurgen season, sorry.
Go on.
Podge Benson, welcome to the first team. Don't forget as well to hit that like button. Over 1,200 people watching, not even 100 likes. Yeah, City of obviously, you know, scoring loads of goals. De Bruyne is still probably at another level, bar every other midfielder in the league, bar Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes, and Scott McTominay and Fred. But other than that, you look at it and you go, defensively, they've looked okay, but they've looked a little bit ropey compared to the usual standards. Some of the other players, like Foden, why is he not playing? What's the issue there? Why is he not getting picked?
Second top scorer this season, he can't get a game.
Why?
Don't know.
That just seems bizarre. Jack Grealish, it just seems like, you know, it's like when you buy a car and it's knackered, but you spent a load of money on it and you don't admit, you know, you've wasted your money. So you just keep driving it and trying to get it fixed. It's just not, he's not doing what they need.
No.
And it's like, yes, he's getting lots of the ball because he's playing for Manchester City. Me and you get a lot of the ball if we played for them. And he brings a lot of fouls, but does that necessarily what they need? Like, especially when you got Foden sat on the bench. I don't get that. I mean, City fans probably, not that they were watching this, but we'll probably know that. But even that, I've noticed quite a few City fans online are going, what's going on here?
Well, they're centre-backs that have played in recent weeks anyway. I know there's injuries and other issues going on there. But it's been a rotation of Stones, Akanji and Ake.
Yeah.
Who, all three of them, if we're honest, Stones maybe has proven a bit more than the other two. But Akanji was deemed not good enough for Borussia Dortmund. He's a sort of inconsistent Bundesliga level player. Yeah. And Ake has been always sort of a promising youngster who's now in his mid-20s, and his career highlight so far was getting relegated with Bournemouth. So it's not as though they've improved their first 11 other than Haaland. And I think what they've lost in the options from Jesus, I know Alvarez is good, but he doesn't know the Premier League as well as Jesus, and I think Jesus brought some good things to that team. And Sterling in particular, even though maybe they saw the decline of Sterling coming and that was a good thing to sell him, but what they haven't done is replaced his numbers. Because you can have, Haaland scoring loads of goals, but having someone on the wing that can consistently create chances, they just don't have that at the moment. And Mahrez isn't doing what he's done in recent seasons either. I think Sterling from 2 years ago, that City team is missing a player of that style, someone who can get in behind, create chances and score goals, because Grealish can't get in behind, Mahrez never tries to get in behind, Silva doesn't get in behind. Like they're sort of an in front of your type team at the minute, and the thing that they're always so good at was penetrating and pulling the ball back, and it seems like the only way they score at the minute is crosses to Haaland or through balls to Haaland. He's the only one that's doing anything. So obviously they're still probably going to win the league. But it is a notable drop-off in quality and consistency and control from them in a season where it felt like the whole meme was they've just won the league and then they bought Erling Haaland. They're unstoppable. Maybe they will prove to be unstoppable, but it's not the start that they would have wanted, is it, Man City, being second to Arsenal?
Seems like now, for the first time in a little while, other than in the Champions League where there's always been questions, there's a few question marks there going on around. Silva, what's happening with him? Bernardo Silva, I saw something online.
He wants to leave.
He wants to leave.
Said it again the other day.
Yeah, it's like he's not happy, and he's a very good player for them. Yeah. We know that all too well at Manchester United. He's been a nightmare to play against for us a few times. Yeah. Gundogan, I don't know what's going on there. It looks like he's sort of another one who's maybe a bit underwhelming or whatever.
Yeah,
Foden,
like
we've already mentioned. Grealish, we've mentioned. Mahrez, we've mentioned. It just doesn't seem like it's quite the well-oiled machine we've seen. Early days, though, long way to go. Like I said, for me, the big one that's been a surprise so far is the Scousers. Now, a few seasons ago, they did it, didn't they, in the last 6 games? Yeah. We had Alisson Becker scoring goals. They beat us, didn't they? After we did them a favour by making sure that no one had the Super League at Old Trafford. And it's like, they can have a late rally, and we're still only 17 games in, other than Newcastle and Spurs, so it's too early to say. And producer there pointing out, producer Ethan or producer Callum, whichever one's put that out. Chelsea have been poor as well.
Even on this graphic, they're 10th at the moment.
That says it all, doesn't it? They're below Brentford. Says it all there. Not been a great season for a lot of teams. Where Man United, after that initial, those couple of games where you're like, what's going on here? Yeah. Obviously, the derby wasn't great in that Villa result, but Eric Ten Hag just seems to be getting everything right. Handle the Ronaldo situation. Marcus Rashford playing better than he's ever played. Our signings have been truly amazing. People like Luke Shaw look reborn. Yeah. It's just Garnacho bringing in that youngster particularly well. It's just all clicking, and he's rotating his squad very well. And he's the only manager over the New Year period who's rotated his squad and not dropped any points. Yeah. So long may it continue. The real test, obviously, is going to be on the 14th of January when we play that mob at Old Trafford, and hopefully, we'll get a result there, and then we can start saying what some of us might have been whispering earlier.
I heard you whispering that in the mic. Can't pretend you didn't now.
I didn't say anything. I don't know what you're on about. That was you, mate. Should we listen to Adam McCullough from Bet Victory? He's been chatting to them as part of their last fan standing. Talk about biggest flops of the season. Let's see what they had to say for themselves anyway.
Yeah, Jesse Lingard for me, and this isn't because he's ex-Man United or anything. I really liked his loan move to West Ham a couple of years ago. I loved him in the 2018 World Cup. I thought actually he should have gone to the Euros in the squad at the very minimum based on his form at the time. And as a player, I think he's really exciting. I think he's the kind of old school player that I like. He kind of takes the ball on it and runs with it, drives from deep, got so much skill, technical ability. I think a lot of people saw the contract with Nottingham Forest as it's a win-win for him. If he has a good season, then he can find maybe a club in America, or he can have a bit more freedom to move to a different situation. But then when it goes bad and you're on a 1-year contract at a club like Forest, They're not going to renew his contract. I don't think there's a world they renew that contract. And suddenly at the end of the summer, especially if Forest go down, I really think there's a big chance Forest do go down, to be honest with you. Suddenly you look at it and think Jesse Lingard, that whole move lacked security and lacked any kind of security for Forest. He's got no connection to the club after a year, and he's trying to keep them potentially in the Premier League. I think the contract itself makes it the flop of the season. I mean, it was a ridiculously short deal to have, and I don't think it's worked out for either party.
That was Adam McCullough there for Last Fan Standing. Boovy saying that Lingard's been the flop of the season. That has to just be anti-United sentiment.
Do you know, when I heard that, when I first heard, he's saying that Lingard's the flop of the season, I thought, that is, like you say, because City fans hate anyone associated with United, even United ex-players, they hate them, so they'll always have a dig and use it as an excuse, whatever. I can understand where he was coming from, is what I'm going to say. I don't agree with him. I think there's been bigger flops this season, but I think that move to Forest, I'm not going to pretend that I got it. No. When he did that, I was like, why has he done that?
Yeah.
That is a massive gamble. Going to a club that there's a very good chance we'll get relegated. Oh no, I think it's a 1-year deal, wasn't it? So it made, he spoke about Boovy the short-termness of the deal. Yeah. When he could have gone to a host of Premier League clubs because of the low move that he had at West Ham a couple of seasons ago. The fact he was, 29 years old, a proven Premier League player, a proven England international, as Boovy was saying there, he could have gone to the Euros and perhaps should have done. So I actually don't think that was as nonsensical as some of the other stuff he spouted in the past. Yeah. Don't quite agree with it, but Jesse Lingard to Forest hasn't worked out. Obviously played against us the other day, came off injured. My mate was saying, do you reckon he's done that just so he can walk around and get his standing ovation that he missed out on?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because he didn't get one when he played for us, did he? I know what you mean, but I mean, there's some like Fofana's. I know he's through injury, but he's not even played yet.
Careful if you slag off Fofana. Yeah, I question the wisdom of spending 80 million quid on him, and had Leicester fans coming for me, clipping me up.
You really proved to look like a right twat on that one.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? He's constantly injured, and has he done enough to warrant an £80 million move when he was linked with us? My point was no. And he's gone to Chelsea and he's not really done anything.
No.
So, yeah, I think there's still a case to be made. Go over to Bet Victor and Last Fan Standings, link in description. Let them know who you think is the flop of the season so far.
Still too early to say.
Let them know that Stretford Paddock sent you as well. And a big thanks to Bet Victor and Last Fan Standing for sponsoring the podcast. Shall we talk about João Felix? Because you love the kid, don't you?
Well, actually, you're the one that loved him last week, and I want to talk to you about that. So, Felix negotiations, United, Arsenal, and Chelsea have all been approached over a deal. Of course, Chelsea have.
Of course, they have.
I don't even know what they're playing at anymore.
What is going on there?
I don't know.
Why are they buying everyone?
How can they do this to us? How can they do this to me? The thing, I don't get it. Where are they coming all this money from? Enzo Fernandez, yeah, we'll get him. Just everyone else for 20 million, yeah, we'll get him. For Fofana, 80 million, we'll get him. Maguire for 50 million. We'll probably try.
I just think Todd Burley's just champagne and sniffed out of his head with the company credit card.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, the company credit card going, who? What United doing? Who they getting? Nah, they're not. Get on the phone. Get him now.
We'll have them.
We'll have him 50 million, but we can get him 20. Don't care.
70.
Just get him 70. Just buy him. Do you know what I mean?
Sir, it's 50.
Yeah.
Don't make me go up to 80.
Do you know what I mean?
Because I'll do it.
Graham Potter's turning up for training going, who the fuck's that?
Yeah.
Who's he? Oh, we've just bought him. Why?
Why is he?
Why
didn't
anyone tell me? Don't worry about that. Just get on with your job.
Atletico Madrid are aiming to receive a total financial package of 21 million euros in order to let Felix leave on loan, which will be made up of a 15 million euro loan fee, as well as Felix's gross salary of 6 million euros. But United are willing to offer around 4 million plus the full salary for the loan of Felix until June. It would be a simple loan without a purchase option. Atletico consider this proposal very far from what they want. I want to take us back in a sort of mythical YouTube time machine.
I love it when you do that.
I can't work out what the date was because it goes past a month and then it goes all weird.
Okay.
1 week ago.
Yeah.
We were stood here and at that time, the number being quoted was around 16 million euros all in.
Yeah.
We were looking at around a 12 million euro, 10 million euros for the loan fee and 6 million for his contract.
Yeah.
In a week, that has now gone up to 21 million euros. Last week, you said you would be up for 16 million euros. You thought for 6 months, for the player that we need, the player that he is, you would have been up for that. Motti, 1 week later, would you still be up for spending 21 million euros on João Felix for 6 months?
I was never that keen on him. My sort of argument is, if we need someone and if Erik ten Hag wants him, I can stomach it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going, oh my God, what is that? I think the main thing for me is, does Erik ten Hag want him? If Erik ten Hag wants him, I love this manager already. Yeah. I am worried, though, if he's going to start creeping up, because then it just gets a bit silly, doesn't it? Yeah. And also, you get into that territory where the price tag gets brought up if he goes like 4 games without doing anything. I can't believe Man United spent 20 million quid on him for 6 months.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that does. I mean, I was never that hot on it anyway, but I could sort of get it if the manager wanted him. Now, though, when you see it's creeping up, when you see other clubs are involved as well, you start to worry this could become a little bit of a silly one. I mean, it's already borderline anyway.
If he doesn't start every week, you're probably looking at, or you could be looking at, a greater than €1 million per appearance fee for this kid.
You can't
which
do
is
that.
Fucked.
Yeah, you can't have that. You can't. I get that. That's just ridiculous. And
Yeah.
he's not that great, is it?
No.
He's all right.
Yeah.
He's a good player to watch. You go.
Yeah.
He's got class about him. Now the question is, does he do a bit like Christian Eriksen, for example, where when you got him, you go, I thought he was all right, but when we got him, he's even better than I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm a bit wary that it's short-termism without the one advantage of being relatively cheap.
Yeah, or the other option that would be quite nice was if there was an option to buy at the end of it that sort of almost took off this fee.
Yeah.
So let's say they want €100 million from now.
Yeah.
Or you can have him for 21 million with an option to buy him for 80 at the end of it.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, total package would be 100 million and we only spend the 80 if we think he's good. Something like that would make sense. But just a straight up 6 months, 21 million euros, that's not anything, is it?
No.
You could buy a prize-winning racehorse for that kind of
It's just this Atletico Madrid are aiming to receive a total financial package.
Yeah, well, how about you aim to receive my finger in the post?
Weren't you arrested once for receiving total financial packages?
It was, and it was far less than 21 million euros, Jay. You can take fucking 6 or 7 zeros off that, and I would still have done it.
Right. Moving swiftly on. Enough about Atletico Madrid
21
players.
quid?
Hey,
Let's 21 million.
Yeah, let's talk about Manchester United players who used to be at Atletico Madrid.
Whatever.
David De Gea.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Very
that
nice.
little segue there.
It's all right.
Right.
De Gea eyes extension. United are looking to give David De Gea a contract extension.
So he's not having his eyes extended so he can see the ball better.
What, like fucking
Inspector Gadget.
Do you remember there was a room when he first came that he needed laser eye surgery, which is why he couldn't save out? Do you remember that? He came in and he was like, oh, he's
I'll tell you, start that rumour.
Him.
Like somebody J stand.
Yeah.
Levitt. Well, you know what? He needs eye surgery and then it's spread.
He wants his eyes checking and does.
Like we signed a blind goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Honestly, he's unbelievable. It's actually the dog that was doing all the saves, but due to Premier League laws, he couldn't have a canine goalkeeper. But basically, Man United, this is reported by The Telegraph, it's reported by The Athletic, we are going to extend David De Gea's contract. I didn't see a figure on how long it's going to be extended by. I don't know if you saw that in the midst of all this. To me, the only bit I saw, the only bit that seemed to be circulating was it's going to be a reduced wage. So he was on 375 grand a week. He's accepted. United have insisted that this is substantially lower than that.
Yeah.
And I think that you watch him play last night, and he made a few decent saves, but I don't think he made any saves that were necessarily world class. And
they were good saves, but the saves that they were good saves, and I'm not taking away from saves that a keeper of his quality can make and will make. The question hasn't been about those sort of shot-stopping elements he's got. The question has been, can he fit into the system Ten Hag wants to play, of playing it out of the back and maybe a little bit of commanding his area better? That's the question here. That's the question that Erik ten Hag will have, not can David De Gea make saves. We know he can. Yeah,
and the fact that it is a dramatically reduced wage suggests that De Gea, that Ten Hag has gone, I don't think you can do that to the ability that your current wage demands.
Yeah.
So obviously you can almost blame Alexis Sanchez for the fact that he's on 375.
Alexis Sanchez,
which you can blame on Ed Woodward,
ruined
not Sanchez.
Everything, didn't it? Well, yeah, actually, Ed Woodward ruined everything.
But it makes some sense. Keep him on. If we can buy someone to replace him for better, who's better, fair enough. Let's say he's gone down to 220 grand a week, whatever it is. That's a guess, by the way. And you get someone else in who's better than De Gea. Fair enough. Dean Henderson's on about that.
Do you know why it was still worth us getting Alexis Sanchez, though?
Piano?
Not the piano. Oh. And what was his dogs called? Do you remember?
Just like Rufus and Wainwright.
I can't remember. Rufus and Wainwright.
Something like that.
The derby. Do you remember?
No.
With City beat us in the derby.
The 3-2?
Yeah, they would have won the title in front of us.
Assists, didn't he?
Yeah, and he played quite well that game.
Do you know what
I know how bitter that sounds, but I don't care.
I believe he assisted the Chris Smalling goal that was a carbon copy of the Casemiro goal at the weekend. So, should we
He
move
was
on?
worth
Because
wrecking the club for.
we've said this now. Let's move on to the new era of goalkeepers at Manchester United. Jack Butland.
What's going on, Joseph?
What?
What is this?
Dubravka out. Butland in. Okay.
Like,
Butland has held.
Atom and Humber, that's the name of Sanchez's dogs. Well done, guys.
Butland has held positive discussions with United
like
about
that,
joining on loan this month. The 29-year-old is currently second choice at Crystal Palace, having lost his place to Vicente Gaeta in 2017 when he was still at Stoke. Butland spoke about his desire to one day play for United. So this, to me, I believe this will happen. Do you care? What do you think? Any messages for Jack Butland and his family? If you look down that camera there. This is to Jack Butland, latest signing at Manchester United, probably.
Jack, if you do come to Manchester United, welcome to the club. I hope you have a very successful time at Manchester United. And even if you don't, even if you only make 1 or 2 appearances, don't worry about it, because there'll always be a place for you on MUTV where you build as a United legend. That's just how it works. Yeah?
Thank you so much to Jack Butland.
Yeah.
It makes sense, doesn't it? He's a player of a certain quality that is available. Fine.
No disrespect to Jack Butland.
Well, don't say it then.
Like, right, whatever.
That is disrespect to Jack Butland. Right, let's move on.
Choupo-Moting. Palace's reserve keeper might become at United. Nice
United are ready to push to
just
sign.
before we get to that, Happy says, great to see you, lads. Like always, hope you had a great holiday. Looking forward to the future. Up the Paddock. Thank you, Happy, for your support. Right, go on.
Choupo-Moting.
Ain't he about 47?
He's 33, and watch your mouth.
Same
Right,
age as
United
me.
are reportedly ready to push to sign Eric Choupo-Moting on a cut price deal. The Red Devils continue to pursue the £5.2 million rated striker as they search for a quick fix up front. And though Bayern Munich have held positive talks with his camp over a new contract at the Allianz Arena, he doesn't want to be a backup option next season. So here's what you do: join Man United and be backup to Anthony Martial then. Although actually, he'd start ahead of him at the minute, the way Martial's playing.
I need to watch what I say here, because I'm getting into the just get anyone tackle. Do you know what I mean? Because when you see Anthony Martial looking a bit goosed, his levels dropping a little bit, you think we need to rotate, or you need someone to challenge, or whatever, whichever way you look at it, and then we haven't got anyone. Then you think, well, just get anyone. And that isn't what you want. You don't want, no disrespect to the kid, you don't want another Odi Nagalo situation. Because Nagalo came in, and when it got to like the semi-final against Chelsea, completely useless. You can't rely on him to win your game against them. So you want someone who can come in and do a job. Choupo-Moting, the way he's been playing this season, can do that. It's just, is this going to be more loads of money for a 6-month type person who's then just going to be surplus to requirements when we get the long-term option in the summer?
Yeah.
Right. Just before we go, I want to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo.
Go on then.
Because there was this story in Ronaldo. I think Laurie Whitwell tweeted in The Athletic, done an article on it. Look, Ronaldo, I know we all want to move on from Ronaldo, but I find this quite intriguing. Ronaldo and super agent Jorge Mendes reportedly clashed over Ronaldo's antics. Said that Mendes sort of said to him, if you don't do this Piers Morgan interview, or if you're going to do it, don't go in all guns blazing, against United. Ronaldo ignored him, did the interview, and apparently parted ways now. Ahead of the move, the move he had to Saudi Arabia, apparently Jorge Mendes wasn't involved in that. Those two have always been very close as well. Yeah. He's been his agent for 20 plus years. He bought him an island for his birthday, didn't he? Ronaldo bought Jorge Mendes an island. I mean, I know for Ronaldo that's like me.
Or an island?
No, an island. I know that's like me buying you a cream egg or whatever.
No, that's still pretty big.
Yeah, but he
an island.
Yeah.
Who even knew they were for sale? I thought they were just owned by the state.
If you want an island, I'll get you one.
An island.
There are ways and means. You don't want to know, but I'll get you an island by 1 o'clock.
Where?
I know a guy.
Is it in Salford? Yeah. Is it an island? When you say island, you mean a mini roundabout, don't you? Is it a mini roundabout, Jay, in Weast? Is it? Is it covered in shit?
Whoa. I will not have my neighbouring town disparaged in such a manner. We've got some beautiful islands in Salford.
It is interesting, though. He's just fucking gone rogue, hasn't he? He's gone completely AWOL. He's just lost it. Fuck it. 200 million over 2 years. Do what I want. He'll probably go back to Serie A in 2 years, play for AC Milan like Zlatan did.
He might do, score loads of goals and everyone will go, United shouldn't let him go. No, we won't, because by that time, Eric Ten Hag will have a new striker, will win everything. Big thanks to Bet Victor and Last Man Standing for sponsoring the podcast. Big thanks to everyone who got involved in the chat. We're going to be back in the morning.
Yes.
We've got the Tier 1 Transfer Podcast is back.
Big stuff.
Big stuff. I'm flying solo tomorrow, but I've got a big guest from Sky Sports, and it's a fellow Baldy. So you can
juicy
try and work that one out.
guest.
Yeah, we'll be chatting to him tomorrow. We'll also have the news. The preview that me and you shot today is up tomorrow as well. So make sure you're checking that out. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Joe, where can people find you?
Sloppy Joe's podcast, new episode out yesterday. Go and check it out.
Yeah, you know where to find me as well. So make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. That's been Joe Smith. I've been Jay Motti. This has been Paddock Live. Thanks for watching.